Hi friends, welcome to the end of 2020, the year that went a bit crazy. My word for 2020 was change. Didn't realise quite how prophetic that focus word would be. So sorry about that one. And I thought I would end the year with a vlog, taking part in something that I saw Colette from We're Going on an Adventure doing, which is the best 7 of 2020. So it's my 7 favourite posts from the year, 7 things I loved most about 2020, and 7 things I'm looking forward to in 2021. And I've decided to do it as a vlog rather than a blog written down, because I've struggled to do that this year, particularly with my migraines, and in 2021 I'm hoping to move more into vlogs, so I thought this was a good opportunity to try it. So I'm going to get straight into it, and if you want to join in, pop on over to We're Going on an Adventure. I'll pop the link below, and take part in this yourself. Okay, so starting with my 7 favourite posts for the year. I didn't really write that many more than 7, to be fair, so it wasn't that hard. But I do like what I wrote, because this year has been really hard. I got the flu in January, and then I got labyrinthitis, and spent most of this year with severe dizziness and vertigo. Only really started to clear up. Had a few weeks in the middle of the summer where it was better, and then it only really started to clear up end of October onwards, and I'm still getting dizziness. So writing has been hard, and so the things that I wrote I had to feel really passionate about, to sit and write. So my top favourite post was Walking Between Worlds, My Faith Journey, and it was the first time that I sat down and unashamedly shared my journey through growing up in a spiritual but not religious family, going to university, getting caught up in the Christian Union and being very scared of Christianity, and going into the New Age, and then finding my way back to Christianity, and now being in a place where, as I call it, I walk between worlds. So when I'm well enough, I go to church. I do consider myself a very liberal Christian, but I also consider myself a pagan, and I still do little things from within the New Age. So there's a lot of mixing and matching going on. And I've always written in a sort of almost apologetic way, like understanding that I don't really fit in any of these groups. I don't really fit fully in Christianity. I don't really fit fully within paganism. So I always felt very apologetic. This was the first time that I really sat down and went, do you know what? I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to share it. So that was a big one. The second one was posts on gender equality that you need to read, and that was for International Women's Day. One of the things I love doing is sharing posts that other people have written that have really inspired me, really made me think, and so that's what I did for International Women's Day. I will pop the links for these down below so that you can check them out. My third favourite was the review of Tamara Pierce's books. I love her books, all of them. I've read nearly all of them. There's a couple that I haven't in the Circle of Magic universe, but I read all of the Von Tortall, and I've read many of them several times, and it's her books that made me want to be a writer. So it was really great to go through and explain why I love these books so much, and I ran a giveaway for someone to win the series of their choice, which was a really nice way of sharing that with people. It was interesting seeing which series people felt most drawn to. My fourth favourite one was Tips and Resources for Isolation from a Chronically Ill Person. I wrote that very early on in the first lockdown. As most people within the chronic illness community, or those that have spent a certain amount of time very much housebound, sometimes bedbound. Lockdown didn't really change that much for us. I've been pretty much housebound for probably a couple of years now. So it didn't really change that much, but I know that feeling of being trapped in your own walls, not knowing what to do, feeling like you're very isolated. So I wanted to pull together the things that I'd learned over the last couple of years, of how to survive it and hopefully learn to thrive within it as well, and it not just be something that you've got to get through. I know that's been the case for a lot of people this year. So that was one of my favorites, and I followed it up later on with a list of my favorite resources, which was things like audiobooks, podcasts, Netflix, things like that. My fifth favorite one was Calling UK Christians We Need to Do Better. That was in response to the Black Lives Matter, all of it that happened in the summer. What I realised was that within the UK Christian community, nobody was really talking about it. And that to me was a big deal, because the whole heart of Christianity for me is social justice. You know, the reason I feel drawn to Christianity is because we have this figure in Jesus who was so against the established domination systems of the day that he was killed for it. You know, he was like, we need to feed the poor, we need to look after those who are oppressed, we need to look for those on the marginalized. You know, you've got the Good Samaritan parable, you've got him talking to the woman at the well, you've got all these things where he talks to people who are the outcasts in society, and he says, no, I'm not going to accept the domination system of the day. And I'm like, if we're calling ourselves Christians, why are we not standing up and going, racism is a big issue, we need to be doing better, we need to be standing here and going, I'm going to learn about systemic racism, I'm going to write to my MP, I'm going to sign petitions, I'm going to listen to people, I'm going to raise the voices of other people. And it really bothered me that I just didn't see that happening within the Christian community. So that's why I wrote that post. It was quite a passionate post, and it felt quite harsh in some ways, but it really angered me that there wasn't more going on within my community. My sixth favourite post was Living Through History. I wrote that after the US election in November. But it wasn't just about the US election in November. It went right back to, gosh, I think it was like 2014, 15. You know, we went back to when Russia annexed the Crimea, and then I went through, you know, the Brexit referendum and the Syrian refugee crisis, and all these things that we are living through at the moment that our future generations are going to look back at and go, what was it like living in that time? The same way that I said that to my grandparents, what was it like living through the war? And it was just a reflection on wanting to write down how it felt to live right now, so that when my grandkids ask me what it's like, I've got a record to say this is what it felt like. Completely overwhelming, but there were moments of hope in there, along with a lot of despair. And my seventh favourite one was one called Memories, and it was where I shared one of my poems. I'll see if I've got it open on my phone. It was one of my favourite poems I've ever written. I wrote it on a train. The idea had been running around my head for a while, and I just wanted to share it, and I have got it open. I will read it to you because it's something that I actually really love. Okay, So here's the poem. I have these memories. They aren't my own. They tell of times gone by, years before I ever arrived. I have feelings of being alive in another town, another land, and I can recount the times when we walked to school through the long grass and under the sweltering heat of an Indian summer. These memories are as clear to me as if they happened only yesterday, yet I've never even lived them once as I am. But the evening sky and the babbling brook all speak to me of summer spent with you. And the winter scene outside my window touches my heart as I remember how we sat by the fire those long nights of winters past and dreamt of reaching the stars one day. That day is now, but I do not know you. You are not familiar, and yet something inside me stirs as I see you and remember. These memories are mine. They may not be my own, but I share them with you. I absolutely love that poem because it reminds me, it evokes that feeling that you get when you meet someone and you just have this instant connection to them, and you can't explain it. You just feel like you've known them forever and you have this huge history, and you don't, but you just connect. And that's what that poem was about. And yeah, that's my 7th favourite one for the year. Moving on to the 7 things I've loved most about 2020. Now that's a hard one, right? It's been a hard year, and most of the time you'd be thinking about, oh, my favourite time was Christmas when all the family got together, or when we went on holiday, or I mean, it's not been like that for me for a couple of years because it's been hard. And this year has been particularly hard with how ill I've been. I talked on Instagram, not necessarily on the blog, but I've talked on Instagram about how low I've got this year. My anxiety got so high to a paralyzing degree that there were times I didn't want to be here anymore. I've never reached that point in my life. It was a dark time. So to think about trying to find 7 things that I've loved about this year seemed like quite a challenging thing, but actually it wasn't that hard. I found 7 things that I am most grateful for this year, and they are this in no particular order. Moving home. So my uncle died at the end of last year, and my parents inherited his house, and we now live in, it's a lovely little bungalow. It's been in the family since the 60s, I think. So we went from my parents now, and it's somewhere that we feel safe. It's somewhere that we feel that we can settle down forever. We can make it our own, you know, after many years of living in various different private rentals. It feels so much more secure to be somewhere like this. We can plan our future here. So that was a really big thing for this year. My second thing is hypnotherapy. I started hypnotherapy in October, I think it was, around the time that I started antidepressants as well. And it has made such a massive difference. I knew it would because I did hypnotherapy back in 2008, 2009, I think it was. Back then I wasn't as bad off mentally as I am now, so I only had to do like 3 sessions and felt like a different person. Now, you know, I'm working with a therapist a lot more closely, but my confidence has grown, my symptoms have reduced, my sleeping has got better. I've started to break down a lot of the walls that I've put up. I'm starting to allow myself to be more vulnerable, which is something I've always struggled with. It has made a huge difference, and so that is my number 2. Number 3 is our 10th wedding anniversary. Has to be. We were both actually ill on our anniversary, so we didn't really do anything. But it was still nice to look back on 10 years and all that we've survived together. I mean, in the past 10 years, Tim and I have survived so much. We went through a high premises pregnancy. We went through multiple career changes. We went through Tim getting ill, me getting more ill. Tim having suicidal episodes, me this year getting, you know, suicidal, falling into poverty, fighting to tribunal 3 times for financial support while we were so ill we couldn't work. You know, we have been through hell and back on so many different levels, and yet we love each other more today than we did back when we got married. So it was really wonderful to sit down and realize that if that hadn't broken us apart, nothing's going to break us apart, you know. And we got new rings, which I shared. I don't know if you can really see. They're like rose gold with meteorite and wood in them, which was really nice because I lost my wedding ring when I was pregnant, less than a year after we got married. I took it off because my skin started reacting to the metal, and then it just disappeared. No idea where it went. So I haven't had a proper wedding ring for like nine and a half years. So it feels nice to have matching rings again. So yeah, number 4 is discovering Good Mythical Morning and Good Mythical More and Ear Biscuits and Rhett and Link. I am repping them today with my mythical top that I got, and also my, let me grab it, my Good Mythical Morning mug. The reason this is something that I love most is I found them when I had the flu at the beginning of the year, and I don't know how I would have got through this year without having their content to take me out of the hellish place that I found myself in. And it was hard because sometimes I would watch it and it would make me laugh so much that I'd get more dizzy and I'd have to stop watching, and that was really hard. But they just make me laugh. Good Mythical Morning makes me laugh like nothing I've ever experienced before. Ear Biscuits, their podcast is brilliant to listen to. Early on in the year, they talked about their spiritual deconstruction, which I found fascinating because I come from a non-religious background. They come from a very religious background, so it was fascinating to listen to their journey. But they talk about so much, and I just love it, and I kind of feel like they have a friendship that I wish everybody had in their lives. You know, I wish everyone had a best friend like they do, and it just fills me with hope. And yeah, it just entertains me, it lifts my spirit. I think everybody should watch it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Tried showing it to my dad and he didn't get it. Completely different sense of humour to me. But if you like silliness, you'll like Good Mythical Morning. You should go check it out. Okay, following on from that, my number 5 is audiobooks. When my migraines and my dizziness was so bad, all I could do was lay as still as possible in bed with an eye mask on, with no light, minimal sound, and the only thing I could do was listen to an audiobook. And sometimes I listened to books I knew really well, generally the Tamara Pierce ones, so I didn't have to concentrate, but I still had the sound coming in. But I also found some really amazing new books this year, and I've made a list of them. So Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I love that book so much. I listened to it twice, almost one after the other. I cannot describe how much I love that book. It has books that are alive, and they have these great personalities. Like one of them spits ink at the trainee librarians, and but they have these ones that if they get damaged, they turn into like these evil beings. So the librarians are like they have to be able to fight against these things as well to protect people. It's this big conspiracy, and there's people get magic from making deals with demons for so many years of their life, and one of the two main characters, his demon has such an amazing character art. I don't want to spoil it for you, but you need to go read this book. Honestly, it is so good. It made me also read An Enchantment of Ravens by the same author. Didn't like that one as much, but it was fascinating. It was about humans and fairies and how different they were, and that she gets taken into the fairyland, and how you think that these fairies have these wonderful lives, but actually they are lacking so much. They don't have like human emotions. It was good. Read it. Other ones that I listened to twice, at least twice, were the Geekerella series, Once Upon a Con series. That spoke to my fangirl heart. That's by Ashley Poston. So Geekerella, which is a geeky retelling of Cinderella. The Princess and the Fangirl, which is a geeky retelling of The Prince and the Pauper. And Bookish and the Beast, which is a geeky retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And they are all like geeky romance, young adult. Oh, I love them. So much fun. Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Finally listened to it. Tim's been trying to get me to listen to it or read it for years. He was like, "You'll love Brandon Sanderson," and I was like, I was a bit. Tim tends to like more high fantasy than me, and I thought that's what it would be. But it was brilliant, and what I loved was there was only one point in the entire book where I knew what was going to happen before it happened, and I only knew what was going to happen about 2-3 minutes before it did, which is unusual because Tim kind of hates watching things with me. I'm always like figuring things out and making connections and going, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. So for someone to keep me guessing, and every time I think I know what's going to happen, something different happens, was incredible. But there was so much to do with like religion within it, and it's a good book. Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Bleak Creek by Rhett and Link, which is slightly creepier than my standard fare. I don't like creepy books, but it was funny enough that I got through it. I'm still begging Tim to finish reading it so that I can talk to him about the final page of the book, because it is creepy as hell. And I need someone to talk to about it, and he still hasn't read it. So if you've read it, let me know, because I need to talk to someone about it. And then just before Christmas, I started reading some really easy Christmas stories, Christmas romances, Sleigh Rides and Silver Bells at Christmas Fair, Christmas Every Day and The Great Christmas Knit Off, and then listen to A Christmas Carol and The English Christmas. So that's been quite nice in the festive period, especially because I couldn't really do anything festive myself. And I've just started a new one called Fangirl, and I can't remember who it's by. Bear with me 1 second. I will go into Audible. I'm not quite sure how I feel about Fangirl just yet. I'm getting a bit annoyed with the main character and how timid and antisocial she appears when she goes to college. I think the reason I'm finding it hard is because when I went to university, I was exactly the same. I was so terrified of people and I had to really push myself. And I think that's why I'm getting annoyed, because I had to push myself and I did push myself, and she's kind of not. And I'm like, just do it. You'll feel better if you do it. It's by Rainbow Rowell, Fangirl. So that's a cool one. Someone who writes fan fiction, and I've really got into fan fiction this year again. I used to read it quite a lot when I was younger, and I'd forgotten how much fun a bit of fan fiction is. So that's been good. Getting back to the things I've loved most this year, number 6 is the community. The online community has really kept me going this year. At the beginning of the year, before I got really ill, before all of this COVID stuff happened, I started a daily chanting practice with a couple of ladies, and we kept each other going. We've stopped it now because something happened in the Kundalini yoga world. I can't get into it because it's so complicated. It would take an entire video, possibly more, to talk to you about it. But basically, there were huge allegations made against the guy who brought Kundalini Yoga to the West, and basically he made it all up, and he abused people. And so it's been hard because Kundalini Yoga was something that actually really helped me. It was a kind of yoga that felt like it was beyond all just the poses, which was what I was looking for. But I can't, in good conscience, continue to practice it knowing the background of it. And I haven't worked out yet. I don't know enough about the chanting from other faith backgrounds, and I don't want to just co-opt it, so I'm still researching into that. But for the time that I was doing it, it was really helpful, and having a daily practice like that was amazing, and having people to help me was amazing, keep me going. I also started a spiritual book club a few months ago. If you're interested in joining that, let me know. It's a WhatsApp group, and we just read a book every month, and each member takes in turn to choose a book that we're going to read. And then we just read it, and if any questions come up, any thoughts come up, we share it in the group. It's just a nice little thing. And then, of course, having the opportunity to connect with people via Zoom has been amazing for me as someone with chronic illness and stuck at home. I've been able to go to like a church council meeting, which I've missed for the past like year and a half because I've not been well enough to go. I've been able to go to meet up with some school mums. I've never been able to do that because I've always been too ill to go. So that's been great. And my number 7 has been a greater connection with Tim. So as I got more and more ill, I pushed him further and further away. I have an issue with vulnerability. I do not cope well with being vulnerable. We've been married for 10 years. We've been together for 13. And I still have a habit of, if I'm upset, I will hide. I will hide away. I will not cry in front of him. I don't feel safe having people around me. When I feel ill, I just close off into my own little world, and it's no good for me, and it's no good for Tim. And I've been working on this with the hypnotherapy, going back to my number 2. One of the goals I put was I want to be able to be cared for by Tim, because Tim is a carer by nature. He was a healthcare assistant for a while. He is a naturally caring person, and it kind of kills him not to be able to look after me, and for me to push him away. And over the last probably 5-6 weeks, I've started to really accept his care. He's given me a bed bath when I was too ill to have a shower. I've started going to him for a hug when I need one. We've discovered that one of the best ways to calm me down when I'm freaking out is for him to just stroke my arm, like gently stroke my arm. It does something to my nervous system, and I just go, ah. So there's been a greater connection this year, which has been a huge thing for me and for him. So that is one of the things that I love the most about this year. It's been a hard year. It has pushed me beyond my limits, but I've started to find who I am, who I've always been, underneath all these insecurities, all these issues that I've had for all my life, you know. So that's my 7 favourite things. Finally, the 7 things I'm looking forward to in 2021. Starting a vlog like this. I will try and make my vlogs a bit shorter. This is getting quite long. I do apologise for that. But I want to vlog because it will be easy. It's easier for me to sit here and talk than it is to look at a screen and type. This would have taken me a lot longer to type. It's 30 minutes talking. I would have been typing a lot longer. And I will hopefully get to a point where I do it with a proper camera, so it's a bit better quality. And I want to talk about life in general, how I'm living my best life in terms of the restrictions on my health, by my health, I should say. Number 2 is starting a podcast with Tim. Podcasts this year have kept me going. I love being able to listen to things and not have to look at a screen. And Tim and I want to start a podcast called An Unconventional Life, where we talk about not only what it's like living with two of us being chronically ill and unable to work and having a child with special educational needs. Our life is very different to what you would typically expect of a family life where parents are working and, you know, you've got these aspirations of going away, going traveling, or investing in this or learning that, or, you know, we just don't have the energy to do these things. So what are we doing in our everyday lives? But also talking about our faith. As I mentioned earlier on, our faith is very unconventional, and there must be other people that feel that way, so we want to talk about that a bit more in a podcast, and we will keep them short. You know, Tim was like, I don't want it to go over 30 minutes because I struggle to listen to something over 30 minutes. I was like, yeah, we will keep the podcast short. Number 3 is life returning to normal. Normal for me is different to normal to you. It's going to take a while, but the vaccine is coming, and hopefully we will start to see a return to a more normal way of life. I don't want it to go back to how it was before. I would like there to be a continuation of things like flexible working, online connections, Zoom meetings and things like that. That works not only for people within the chronic illness and disability communities who have been asking for these kinds of changes for years and been told that they're not possible, but it also works for working parents. We should be doing more of this. And I want to change to the benefit system. There are going to be so many people who are affected financially by what we've gone through this year. Tim and I have been thrown into poverty through no fault of our own. We just became too ill to work, and we tried damn hard to stay in work. You know, Tim retrained like 3 times, and I worked every single kind of job you could think of, and even went self-employed to try and stay in work. So we know what it's like to be thrown into poverty. We know that people are going to have been thrown into poverty and financial insecurity through COVID-19, and we don't want them to have to go through the battle that we had to go through. So we want to change in that. We want to change in the way that chronic illness is seen. You know, with long COVID coming out, people within the chronic illness community have been living for years with no support, and people going, oh, it's just all in your head, or you just need to do this. And we don't want people with long COVID to go through that. And we're hoping that there will be a greater awareness of how someone who is perfectly healthy can get so ill, you know, and that we need to be investing in research into these things, and creating better treatment and better management than just you've got this thing and we don't know what to do with you. So I don't want us to go back to how things were before. That's why I want to go back to normal with speech marks. Can't think of the actual word for them. I want those changes, but I do want things to get back to a certain sense of normality, because this year has had a massive impact on people's mental health and mental well-being. Of course it has. Number 4 is further improvements in my health. I would like my migraines to continue to reduce in duration and frequency. I would like there to be an increase in my energy levels so that I can do more things with my family, so I can do more things with the vlog, with the podcast. You know, ideally I would love to get back to a point where I can start earning some money again. I do not like not being able to work. I get huge amounts of satisfaction from doing work, and it's been hard not being able to do that. So, you know, I know it's a long process, and, you know, I've been waiting for this for the past 4 or 5 years, and it's just got worse and worse and worse. So I know that it's not going to happen overnight, but I want to see gradual increases in my health, and I hope that happens in 2021. Number 5 is working on my novel. My novel that I started way back in like 2009, 2010, and then life got in the way with having a child and working and then getting ill. And I have, it's actually a trilogy. It's a fantasy trilogy. It's a young adult fantasy trilogy. The first book is completely mapped out. Every single chapter is mapped out. I just need to be well enough to sit down and write it. And, you know, half of the scenes were already written. So I just want to get it written. There's a part of me that's still considering writing it and sharing it as a chapter is done on my blog. And I'd like to do that in a way because it would be fun to share it as I go along. I know people like to read a whole novel, but reading fan fiction has reminded me that people also quite enjoy just reading things as they come out periodically. And I like the idea of writing something that is easily accessible to people, that you don't have to spend money on it, to enjoy a bit of getting away from everyday life. Okay, so I'm still considering doing that. I don't know if I will or not. It depends on how well I am. I'd like to maybe record audio versions of the chapters for people who can't look at a screen. You know, I have all these plans, always have these plans. It's my health that holds me back, so fingers crossed on that one. Number 6 is further developing my confidence, which is why I want to start the blog, want to start the podcast, want to work on the novel. I want to work on the confidence of who I am as I am. I don't have to have a huge following. I don't have to look a certain way. I don't have to be able to do certain things. I want to find my worth in who I am as I am. So that I'm looking forward to working on. And my word for 2021 is confidence. That's what I'm going to focus on in 2021. So I hope to be able to share that journey with you on the vlog. And number 7 is further establishing our garden. It's a bit of a blank canvas at the moment. We've just bought, I mean, it's got a beautiful greenhouse and gazebo. We have just bought a sofa for the gazebo so that we can spend more time in the garden. It's already got a lot of pots and raised beds. We just need to buy some things and get some more perennial plants that is easier to maintain. We're not having to put things in every year, and establish it to how we want it to be. So I'm really excited about that. I want to share that with you on the vlog as well. So I've got quite a lot of things to look forward to next year, and I'm really excited for it to come along and to get started. I'm fed up of 2020, like most of you, and I hope to connect with you more as we work through the next 12 months. So I'm going to end here now. We're nearly at 40 minutes. I do apologise for babbling on for so long, but that was a lot to cover. That was 21 things, and I promise that my next ones won't be quite as long. So hop along to, we're going on an adventure to see what it's all about and join in, and let me know if you do, because I'd love to read what you've enjoyed about this year. Okay, bye for now.